Welcome to Evermore Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to Evermore Love, where we weave heartfelt tales that touch your soul and spark that inner glow. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're so close to 1K subscribers, and your support means the world. It helps us bring more beautiful stories like this one to life. And hey, if you can, watch this video all the way through. Your full views keep the magic flowing. Today we're diving into He Was My Student, a story of forbidden sparks, tender whispers, and love that defies the odds. Settle in, grab a cozy drink, and let's begin. He was my student. I remember the first day he walked into my classroom like it was etched in sunlight on the worn wooden desks of that old community college. It was a crisp September morning in 2018, the kind where the air still carried the lazy haze of summer, and the leaves outside the window whispered secrets to the wind. I was Ms. Elena Harper, 32 years old, with a stack of lesson plans under my arm and a heart that had long ago traded wild dreams for the steady rhythm of teaching English to adults chasing second chances. My students were a mosaic of lives interrupted, immigrants polishing their accents, factory workers eyeing better jobs, single parents rewriting their futures one vocabulary word at a time. And then there was Alex. He slipped in 5 minutes late. His dark hair tousled like he'd wrestled with the morning traffic and lost. His backpack hung loose over one shoulder, and his eyes, God, those eyes, were a stormy gray that scanned the room with a quiet intensity, landing on me for just a heartbeat too long. "Sorry," he muttered, his voice rough around the edges, laced with an accent that hinted at Eastern European roots. He was 22, fresh out of a dead-end warehouse gig, enrolling in my intermediate English class to fix his resume, as he'd later tell me with that half-smile that made my pulse stutter. From that day, Alex became the invisible thread weaving through my lessons. He'd sit in the back row, not the disruptive type, but the one who listened with his whole body, leaning forward when we dissected sonnets. His brow furrowing like Shakespeare was a puzzle he was determined to solve. I'd catch him scribbling notes in a battered notebook, his handwriting sharp and deliberate, as if every word I said was a lifeline he was clutching. During group discussions on themes of loss in The Great Gatsby, he'd speak up hesitantly at first, his sentences halting like a river finding its way. "Gatsby. He chases dream that no real," he'd say, and I'd nod, encouraging, feeling a warmth bloom in my chest that had nothing to do with pedagogy. But it was the small moments that unraveled me. After class, when the room emptied like sand through fingers, he'd linger, asking questions that went beyond grammar. "Ms. Harper, why heartbroken, not just heartbroke? Like why add the N?" I'd laugh softly, perching on the edge of my desk, my pencil skirt riding up just enough to remind me of the professional line I towed. "It's the ache that lingers, Alex. The N makes it feel eternal." His gaze would hold mine then, those gray eyes softening, and I'd wonder if he heard the echo of my own unspoken longings. Weeks turned to months, and the classroom air thickened with unspoken electricity. We'd bump elbows reaching for the whiteboard marker, or our fingers would brush when handing back essays. His on Frost's The Road Not Taken, where he'd written margins full of questions about regret. "What if choice wrong?" he'd scrawled in the sidebar, and I'd added my own note. "The beauty is in the choosing, even when it hurts." One rainy afternoon, as thunder grumbled outside, the power flickered, plunging us into twilight. The class huddled closer, sharing stories by phone light, and Alex's voice cut through the dimness. He told of leaving Bucharest at 18, smuggling across borders with his mother's locket in his pocket, chasing a father who'd vanished years before. "English. It's my new home," he said, his voice cracking just once. I reached out, squeezed his hand under the table, meant to be reassuring, but it lingered, his skin warm and calloused from old labor. In that instant, the teacher in me faded, and something raw, forbidden, stirred. By December, the attraction was a living thing, coiling tight in my gut during every lecture. I'd find excuses to call on him, loving how his confidence bloomed, his accent softening like butter in the sun. He'd bring me coffee from the vending machine, black like you said, And I'd pretend it was nothing, even as my heart raced. But guilt gnawed at me. He was my student. The college handbook loomed like a shadow. Ethics clauses, power imbalances, the risk of losing everything I'd built. I was the guide. He was the wanderer. Crossing that line, it could shatter us both. The turning point came on the last day of the semester. Snow dusted the campus paths like powdered sugar, and the class exchanged hugs and promises to stay in touch. Alex hung back as the others filed out, his essay in hand, the final one on love in Pride and Prejudice. He'd aced it, of course, but his words on the page twisted the knife. Love not just words, it's risk. Elizabeth risks heart for truth. What we risk. I looked up, and he was there, closer than ever, the scent of pine from his jacket mingling with the chalk dust. Miss Harper Elena, he said, my name a breath on his lips. I can't leave without saying. You teach more than English. You see me. My throat tightened, tears pricking like winter frost. Alex, we can't. I'm your teacher. But even as I said it, my hand found his, pulling him into the empty hallway where fluorescent lights buzzed like hesitant fireflies. He cupped my face, gentle as if I were porcelain, and kissed me, soft at first, then deepening with the hunger of all those stolen glances. It tasted of rain and resolve. His lips mapping mine like a poem he'd memorized. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the world narrowing to the thud of our hearts. Wait for me, he whispered. I'll finish program. Then. No lines. That summer stretched like taffy, sweet and agonizing. We texted in code. Book quotes masking, I miss US, shared playlists of longing ballads. I'd lie awake in my quiet apartment, the city humming below, replaying his touch, terrified of the chasm between us. He was young, unscarred by the world's sharper edges. I carried the weight of a failed engagement at 28, the echo of a mother who'd warned me love was a luxury for the fearless. When fall came, Alex enrolled in advanced classes, no longer mine, and we met in stolen slivers. Coffee shops where we'd debate Austen over lattes, walks along the river where his hand in mine felt like defiance. But love, oh, it doesn't bloom without thorns. Whispers started. Colleagues eyeing us in the halls, a snide comment from the department head about inappropriate attachments. Alex's friends ribbed him, calling it a midlife crush, and doubt crept in like fog. One night, after a faculty mixer where I'd dodged prying eyes, I confronted him in the parking lot, rain slicking our coats. This isn't fair to you, I said, voice breaking. I'm holding you back. Too old, too cautious. You deserve someone who matches your fire. He pulled me close, rain mingling with tears on our cheeks. Elena, you are fire. You lit mine. Just number. Challenge. We faced together. His words cracked me open, raw and real, and we clung there, the storm raging as if the sky wept for our fears. The real tempest hit in spring, when Alex's visa teetered on expiration, a bureaucratic nightmare born of his hasty departure from Romania. Papers piled like accusations, interviews that dragged his past into the light. I sat with him in sterile offices, translating legalese with trembling hands, my love a shield against the indifferent machine. One evening, as rejection loomed, he broke, pacing my living room, fists clenched, the locket from his mother glinting under the lamp. What if I lose everything? You, this life. I crossed to him, wrapping my arms around his waist, feeling his sobs shake us both. Then we build again, I murmured into his shirt. Like your essays, start with truth, end with hope. We made love that night for the first time, slow and sacred, bodies speaking what words couldn't. I am yours through tempests and calm. Miraculously, a pro bono lawyer, a former student of mine, turned the tide. By summer's end, his green card arrived, sealed with the promise of permanence. We celebrated on the riverbank, picnic blankets spread under a canopy of stars. His head in my lap as I read poetry aloud. Rilke this time, on Loving Despite the Fall. You were my teacher, he said, tracing my palm with his thumb. But I learned the hardest lesson from you, to love without fear. 2 years on, we're tangled in a life we never scripted. He works as a translator now, bridging worlds like he once bridged words in my class. I still teach, but with a lightness, knowing home waits in his gray eyes. Our love isn't a fairy tale. It's a story we write daily, with coffee burns and late-night arguments, quiet mornings where he murmurs "good morning" in that accent I adore. It's the ache of what we risked, the joy of what we claimed. And in the hush of our shared silences, I know. He wasn't just my student. He was my awakening. There you have it, friends, the tender, turbulent journey of Elena and Alex. If this story stirred your heart, warmed your soul, or even brought a tear, please comment below with your favorite moment, and subscribe to Evermore Love for more enchanting tales every week. We're building a community of dreamers here, and your support gets us to that 1K milestone and beyond. Until next time, keep loving fiercely. What's your story of unexpected love? Share in the comments. I read everyone. Sweet dreams.